Alright, welcome back to Unlimited Bits, the official podcast of the Ultra Big Gaming Facebook page. You can check us out over at facebook.com/Ultra Big Gaming. Bienvenidos de regreso al show estilo radio, pues se llama podcast, como acabo de decir. No sé cómo se le conozca realmente en español. I don't know what it's called in Spanish, but hey, we're back! After months and months of no Unlimited Bits episodes, it's been a long hiatus, but hey, I'm back here. I'm a one-man crew now. All the previous members of Ultra Big Gaming are gone. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but, we went our own separate ways. Well, I'm just going to say this, they lost interest in the page, partly because of me. I was a bit pushy. I was quite pushy, actually. Not even a bit. I was quite pushy when the page first started. And, if you knew the people that were here with me just a few months ago, you'd know that. But, hey, we're back. And, with people or without people, I'm going to keep on doing this podcast now. I'm going to be back. And, I've said that in previous episodes before. And, that, the podcast's coming back. If you follow the page, once again, over at facebook.com/ultrabiggaming, you probably see some posts in the recent past of me saying that, the podcast is coming back sooner than you think. And, those were lies. They were half-truths, really. I've just been very busy, with life, all the balls that life throws at you. And I like balls. I like catching those balls. Anyway, life has kept me quite busy, and, things that don't help you, continue life, they're put on the back burner of things. And, I just couldn't do them. Every time I have free time nowadays, I just use it to just relax, or I play video games, or I use a computer for a little while, like a normal person. And so, or I go running to the park, something which I haven't done in quite some time. And because of, once again, university life gets in the way of things, but that shit happens. Anyway, this is episode 5, episode 6 of Unlimited Bits. God damn, it's been that long. I don't even remember anymore. I didn't even bother to check the Ultra Big Gaming channel so I could, tell you, hey, this is episode 7 or episode 6 or whatever fucking episode it is. And I actually have this little notebook right in front of me. Well, it's not a little notebook. It's a standard notebook. And I wrote down some bullet points, try to organize the show up a little bit, because in the past episodes, I would just, get together with the ex-members of Ultra Big Gaming, and I would just ramble on, and so would they, and we try to keep the topics going, the conversation going, and half the time it worked, half the time it didn't. And like right now, for example, I actually sort of planned out the intro, and all I've said, all 3 minutes and 20 seconds so far, has all been just improvised. I don't actually write every single thing I'm going to say down. That's just the way I work. It's in part due to the fact that I'm lazy, and in part due to the fact that I'm tired, and in part due to the fact that would take way too much time, so I figured, you know what? That's just me. I like to improvise. It's faster, it's more efficient, and I think it works, to be honest. But here we are. You heard me talk Spanish at the intro of the show. Español, porque yo soy mexicano. You can probably tell by my accent. And, hard as I may try, I can't get rid of the bit of accent that I have when I speak English, because that's just me. And, I like it like that. I speak some pretty damn good English, if you ask me. I've been studying it since I was around 8 years old, and I'm not 8 years old anymore. And I'm stronger in English than I am in Spanish, ironically, even though I live in Mexico once again. And here we are. We're gonna get into the brunt of the show, into the intro. So here we go. In regards to the hectic life that I just mentioned, the hectic life, we have I had this little segment called, this little bullet point, Unidos y Divididos. I'm gonna speak a bit of Spanish here, and I hope you don't mind. If you're somebody I know in real life and you're listening to this shit, I thank you for that. And even if I don't know you, I thank you for that too, because you're listening to some fucking idiot just rambling on about things that you probably don't even care about, but whatever. I have this little bullet point. Oh, god damn it! I can't even talk now. This little bullet point that says "Unidos y divididos," and the intro is called "Compañerismo," and this refers to the fact that that I think plenty of things of the little group that I'm in. I'm a university student, and well, there's a lot of things I think about the little group I'm in. You know, my classmates, and I don't have a problem with anybody. You know, they're all good people. Everybody in there is a good person. I'm sure. I can't say I know anybody, you know, too well because I've always been I always had like a little shell around me when it comes to socializing. It's not that I'm awkward. It's not that I can't talk to people. Over the past few years, you know, I've developed more as a person. I can talk to anybody. You know, that's the part of getting older, and you know, that's life. But what I mean by shell is simply that I tend to keep to myself. So it's not really a shell. It's that I'm a pretty reserved person. I don't know if I mentioned that in past episodes of this show, but that's how it is. And back to me and my classmates. You know, in the classroom, it tends to be the entire classroom is fragmented. We're united and we're not united at the same time. Estamos unidos pero divididos a la misma vez. ¿Por qué? Porque pues cuando realmente importa, cuando vale la pena hacerlo, todo el salón se une. You know, the entire classroom is united when it matters. You know, when it's something important or we just want to get together and have fun, I guess you could say. Once in a while, something is planned and it happens. I don't usually partake in these events. So, you know, hey, if I get into criticizing, you know, my classmates for saying that, hey, they're not very social, they don't like, you know, interacting with other people outside of the little group of buds, you know, hey, I'm not much different, so I can't even say much, but I will anyway. You know, if anybody that I know, like I said, listens to this, you're welcome to agree or disagree with me. But the group is very fragmented. Everybody that tends to keep to a little circle of friends, and they don't usually go out of their way to talk to anybody else in the classroom, and that's a real shame, quite frankly. Like I said, I don't have a problem with anybody in the classroom. I talk a lot of smack about a person here and there, but that's more in regards to their work ethic when it comes to actually, you know, turning in assignments, communicating with the rest of the team if it's a group activity, and so we can all communicate efficiently and effectively and put together, you know, something, a presentation or an essay, a translation, whatever the fuck. Because I'm studying translation. I'm gonna be a translator. I should have said that from the start, so I apologize for that. But when it comes to that, you know, my group unfortunately is very divided. I'm recording this on a Friday, by the way. Today is Friday, but you're gonna listen to this on Sunday afternoon at the latest. The plan is to release this in the morning, but we'll see. Because my computer is slow. I don't have anything too modern. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked again. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the case with my classmates. No somos muy unidos. Tampoco tan divididos. Intentamos de trabajar juntos, pero la mayoría en general no intenta de salirse de su bolita de amigos y pues no tenemos esa comunicación que deberíamos de tener. Y pues sí, hay compañeros que trabajan más que otros. Yo siempre, yo le doy mucha importancia a mi trabajo. I put a lot of importance to my work, you know, whatever assignments I need to turn in, any studying that I might have to do. I do it. I do it because it's what you're supposed to do, you know? It's what your parents pay for you to do. It's what you pay to do if your parents don't back you up in that regard, or you don't have parents and you have to, you know, pay the bills yourself. And, it's what's paid for. It's your responsibility. You accept this responsibility after you pay and turn in the paperwork. So if you're not willing to work, if you're lazy, I mean, what are you there for? Why study when the entire point of studying is, working your ass off, studying your ass off pretty much, so that you can have a brighter future. If you're not willing to put in the hours of sitting down and translating or writing or reading or studying or doing your math if you're in engineering or studying your architecture, whatever the hell people in architecture study, and anybody else in any field, scientific or anything else, because translation is scientific, or so they've taught me, and I agree with that. And like I said just a few minutes ago, I talk a lot of smack about some of my classmates, and a good portion of my classmates know that. And I say it, and I've said this before out there in the group, that hey, I have my own opinion on certain people in regards to their work ethic, their study ethic, and I think, no, I don't even think, I know that I do a good job, and my grades, my personal grades show that. You get 90s, 100s. The lowest scores I've gotten this semester, are 80s, and that's not bad. But I like to keep it in the 90s and then higher, in that range. So I'm not perfect, Those these classmates that I mentioned, I'm not gonna say any names in particular. If anybody that I know listens to this, that's in the classroom with me, as I mentioned before, they'll know who they are, Some guys, some girls, they'll know who they are. And I'm not perfect, I have my own flaws. When I work with people, I tend to get a bit bossy, and because I have the drive, the motivation, and I acknowledge that responsibility that, hey, I have to get work done, and I have to get it done in the time that's given to me, and I have to turn it in when I need to turn it in, and at no later date, because I'm responsible like that, and I understand that, and that's the way that it should be, regardless of the difficulty of the task, regardless of how slow or how fast you are in completing your work. That's just what I think. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I have my own flaws. If I were to talk to anybody in the classroom, I'm pretty sure they could point those out. I might be aware of some of those, and there might be others that I may not be aware of. And that's how it is. Así están las cosas, pues. So yeah, that's pretty much the intro. Holy crap, we're almost at 13 minutes here. Esa es la introducción. No tenía la intención de que durara tanto, pero bueno, pues ahí está. Ahora, ya que me expresé sobre eso, ya que me expresé mis pensamientos, pues vamos a movernos. We're gonna move on to the body of the show, which is something that's more recreative, something that's related to my hobbies, which is what this podcast is actually about. Its main focus, like the Ultra Big Gaming Facebook page, is video games. Because I love video games, and ever since I moved back here to Mexico, I've been a video game guy through and through. And actually, I've been playing video games all of my life. I remember when I was a kid, cuando era un niño. I don't know, I couldn't tell you how old I was, but my oldest video gaming memory is I was at around 4, I'd say, but I can't be sure because the memory is very blurry. And I played an Atari 2600, and I remember, fiddling with the controller, that one joystick and that one stick and the little red button on the Atari 2600 controller. And look, like I said earlier, I had this notebook, and I wrote down some bullet points in this sheet, and the mentioning of the Atari 2600, that's not even on here. Like I said, I like to improvise, and that just came out of nowhere, off the top of my head. But anyway, back to what I was saying. My earliest memory is me playing a 2600 with that awesome little controller in front of a wood grain TV, and that's how you know it's old school, because I remember the TV was wood grained. It wasn't that big, but it was wood grained, and wow, and someday in the future, I don't have HD TVs, by the way. There's only one in the entire house that I live in, and I don't use that one because it's too small. I prefer my big ass CRT televisions, which weigh 300 pounds, like the one I usually use for gaming. And there's another one which is smaller, but it's still pretty heavy. I can barely pick it up on my own. And the one I usually use is a Sony Trinitron. Some of the best, they're probably the best CRT televisions from back in the day, because they don't produce those anymore, and the world in general doesn't use them anymore. Although right here where I live, in the state of Baja California, in el estado de Baja California, there are plenty of people, particularly people over 30 who were born in the 70s and 80s, maybe even further back. My front door neighbor, for example, who lives across the street, he has an old ass wood grain TV like the one I just mentioned, and he still uses that. It still sounds great. It's dusty as fuck because he doesn't clean it, but he's a senior citizen. He can't do much, and well, he still uses it every single day to watch soccer, football, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's a sport. It's the most popular sport here in Mexico, and he watches football on it. He watches the news, all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, CRT televisions, and which are what I still use today. In April 17th, this podcast, as I mentioned, is going to go up April 19th in the morning or in the afternoon, depending on how slow my computer is on that particular day. And in 2015, April 17th, I'm still gaming with CRT televisions, which is not something that a lot of younger kids, younger people can say nowadays, because if they had parents, hardworking parents, parents who studied, and they have good jobs, hey, they can afford HD TVs, or maybe even 4K televisions and 8K televisions, maybe even 12K televisions, which are already in development and coming out, which is ridiculous, because 4Ks are like Blu-ray a couple of years ago, and like HD TVs. They took a few years to really get into the system, for commercial purchase, and that's the way it's going to be, with 4K and 8K televisions. It's going to take a few years for them to start, for them to get cheaper, because they're already getting cheap as it is, for the general, say, the American citizen. And if you live here in Mexico like I do, if you make a good living, si ganas bien, you can afford them, in a year or two, maybe 3. And 4K and 8K televisions would be the norm. And that's good, nothing wrong with that. I love my CRT televisions because I've grown up with them. It's what I've had all of my life. I have relatives, I have friends who have big ass, 40-inch, well, 40 inch isn't that big, 60-inch HD TVs, LCDs, plasmas, and that's good. It's good that technology moves on forward, but I've grown up with CRT televisions and I don't have a problem using them. The newest gaming console that I have is a PlayStation 3. I don't have a PlayStation 4. I don't have an Xbox One. My PC I've had since 2010. So yeah, it has HD capabilities, because HD has been around for like a decade now, 9 years, 8 years, around there. And it's good for playing old games because they're not heavy, but for playing modern games like GTA 5, which just came out very recently, not even a week ago, something like that. My PC wouldn't be able to handle that, especially if if I bought it digitally and try to play it through Steam. That wouldn't work, because my PC is going on 5 years old now, and I don't have the money. I can't afford buying a brand new gaming laptop or a desktop just for gaming. And I'm cool with that, because I'm more of a console guy anyway. Like I said, I grew up playing the Nintendo 64, the PlayStation, the Super Nintendo, the NES. I grew up more with the Nintendo 64 and the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and the GameCube, though. What is that, like the 7th generation the 6th generation console. 7th generation consoles were the PS3 and the 360. And I grew up more with those, playing on good old CRT televisions, which still work, which, they do their job pretty well, like I've said enough times by now. So there's that. Lately, back to the university life as a student, I've had lots of homework, Lots of study time, lots of homework time, lots of school time, lots of classes, lots of homework. So there's not a lot of time for gaming. But when I can get an hour or two here and there, or maybe watch The Walking Dead, or watch Better Call Saul, which just ended. Makes me sad because I love that show and Breaking Bad. But there's too much homework time, too much class time. But like I said back to a few minutes ago, you have the study ethic. That's no problem because that's what's going to help you move ahead in life. A few years from now, after you're done studying, which would be the case with me, and hopefully I'll get a good job. A few years down the road, something that I can, that will help me stand on my own 2 feet, take care of myself, pay my own bills and stuff. And lots of class, lots of university stuff. Little time for video games, unfortunately, which is sad because moving on to the next topic, I have quite a few games that I started as far back as say 4 months ago, like Metal Arms and Midnight Club 2 on the Xbox. And I say Xbox, not the fucking 360. No hate for the 360, it's a great console. Not the 360 though. Not the Xbox One. Just the Xbox. The original, the classic Xbox. So if you follow this podcast, starting with this episode, when I say Xbox, I mean Xbox. The original one, not the 360, and not the Xbox One. The Xbox is great in its own right, and like I said, 3 or 4 months ago, around that time, I started a little game called Metal Arms, Glitch in the System, and I also started another game called Midnight Club 2. And years ago, I would play Midnight Club 3 DUB edition, Dub edition, on the PSP, which was also released for the Xbox, if I remember correctly. It's a great game, and I bought Midnight Club 2 a while back for that very reason, because Midnight Club 3 is an excellent game. Even on the PSP with the lag and with the technical limitations compared to the Xbox, it's a handheld, a portable console. And but Midnight Club 2 on the Xbox is a great game. It feels a lot more arcadey than Midnight Club 3 does. And I started that game a while back, and like I just said, and it's a very good game. Feels a lot more arcadey than its PSP and Xbox counterpart, Midnight Club 3. But it's a good game. You unlock a lot of cars very frequently. You keep on playing just the career mode or the campaign mode, what the fuck it's called. Then you unlock a lot of cars very rapidly. There are plenty of tough races in the career the career mode. And you have to keep. There's a lot of races that I've had to try over and over and over again until I finally passed them, because race memorization is key in that game, especially when you get to Paris, because there's a lot of tight corners, a lot of tight streets, roads. Well, they're not even roads; some are just like alleyways. You run over a bunch of people, and I laugh at the animation of the people that when you hit them. It reminds me of the older Grand Theft Auto games like San Andreas and Vice City and Grand Theft Auto 3. You know how when you run over people with your car, and the people they sell it really well, as we would say in pro wrestling. They say, well, it's not really well. They sell it like crap. But with the technical limitations of that day, no, they could have done better, because True Crime New York City, or Streets of New York, whatever the fuck it's called, did a better job in that regard. When you run over a person and they just boom, they go flying over your car, and they get all stiff in midair, and then they land on the street, and that's fucking hilarious, especially in Midnight Club 2. Being older than say Vice City and San Andreas, the people are actually sprites. They're not 3D models like they are in those games. But Midnight Club, a series also developed by Rockstar San Diego, if I remember correctly. And you see the similarities, some of the elements that are taken from the GTA games, from the older ones, and reused in these games. And they look just as hilarious, just as bad. But I love it, because I love gaming in general. No matter, regardless of the console, regardless of the time, I can play the oldest stuff like Pong. I could play an Atari 2600, a 5200. I could play on the Dreamcast. I've never played a Dreamcast, by the way, or an Atari 5200, or many other consoles like the PC Engine, because they're not readily available here, and I don't shop online. I shop locally because I like to support the people that make a living out of selling video games, because I love them, and it's good to support the people around you so that you always have a good supply of games. But back to Midnight Club, it's a great game. I need to finish it. I think I'm about halfway through it, and I should finish it. I haven't played it in a couple of weeks, once again due to lack of free time. But Midnight Club 2 is a great game. I'm gonna keep at it today. Like I said before, it's Friday, so hopefully tomorrow, Saturday, and on Sunday, I'll have the chance to play it good. Also on the Xbox, once again, the original, not the 360 or the Xbox One, I've been playing Metal Arms, Glitch on the System, which I've just mentioned too. And that's also a great game. There are definitely some Halo influences there. It's a third-person shooter. You use a little robot called Glitch, and it's a game. It's a hidden gem on the Xbox. It is somewhat known, but it's also somewhat obscure, because you don't hear anybody talk about it really. You have to go. You'd have to dig through some video game forums on the internet, so you could find them, find people who talk about it, who know the game. So it didn't sell too well, I'm pretty sure, but it's a good game. You know, as Glitch, he can equip rocket launchers and shotguns and a minigun on his right arm, on his robotic arm, and there are many kinds of weapons, and they have unique names. They're not, like the shotgun isn't called the shotgun like it would be in your standard FPS. It's called the scatter blaster, the shotgun, and then the minigun, which would be the machine gun. Well, it's not really a minigun at first. You have to upgrade it so it can shoot like a minigun, but that would be your machine gun, your automatic machine gun. You shoot it, you just hold the trigger, and it shoots, and tear the millbots apart. You can turn them to shreds with a shotgun or with any other weapon. And that one, the shotgun called the scatter blaster. The machine gun is called the spew. The rocket launcher is called the rocket launcher. What could you call that? Explosion blaster. I don't know, Hiroshima explosion. Hope I don't offend anybody with that. But I really don't give a fuck, so whatever. And but Metal Arms is a great game, like with Midnight Club 2. I'm not sure how far I am. That game's gotta be shorter than Midnight Club 2, I'm assuming, due to the type of game that it is, a third-person shooter with RPG elements, because you can upgrade your guns, your abilities, upgrade your grenades, upgrade your rocket launcher, your spew, your scatter blaster, your ripper, and any and all other weapons that you can use in that game. It's a good game by Swingin' Monkey Studios, if I remember correctly. If that's the name. I could have gotten that wrong. But it's a great game, and if you own the original Xbox, Metal Arms, Glitch in the System, and Midnight Club 2 are excellent games. You should check them out, because they'll be worth your time. And nowadays, like I said, Metal Arms, Glitch in the System being a rather obscure game with somewhat of a cult following, it won't cost you much. You look online, if you don't have you don't have any flea markets in your area, or any independent shops which sell retro games. Although the Xbox isn't all that old compared to, say, the Dreamcast and under. Sega Saturn games and all. And consoles and games older than that. If you don't have any flea markets or shops around you, then you can shop online. Look for Metal Arms, Glitch in the System. It's a it's a rather obscure Xbox gem. And if you enjoy first-person shooters, third-person shooters, or hell, if you just like shooting things and making them explode, you can do that in Metal Arms, Glitch in the System. It has RPG elements. It has a good story. It has excellent voice acting. Some voices in that game you might recognize. So I definitely recommend it. Check it out. Same goes with Midnight Club 2. I fully endorse and enjoy both games. Although with Midnight Club 2, there's a lot of talking by the stereotypical generic characters that you race against, and that's my only gripe with that game, really. The fact that the fucking characters won't shut up and they throw these insults at you, and you can't really feel insulted because they're dumb as all fuck. And there's that. There's your. It's funny. There are your stereotypical Italian guys. There are your stereotypical gangster Mexicans, Mexicanos del barrio, los cholillos de que I'm gonna kick your asses, eh? Things like those, and guys and girls, because there are girls that you race against too. But yeah, now there's a lot more stuff I gotta talk about. So moving on, Metal Arms glitch in the system one more time, and Midnight Club 2 on the original Xbox. Both of these games are actually multi-platform games. I'm sorry. So Metal Arms, I know you can find on the GameCube and on the PlayStation 2 as well. So if you don't own an Xbox, you don't have an Xbox, you can check them out for those consoles and play them on there. It's a great game. Midnight Club 2 is also a multi-platform game. I know it's also available for the PlayStation 2. I don't know about the GameCube though, and I doubt it, but I could be wrong. So if you don't have an Xbox, Midnight Club 2 is also available on the PlayStation 2. And like Metal Arms, it's gotta be dirt cheap online if you don't have any shops or flea markets around you in your area. Alright, moving on. Pokemon and Super Smash Bros. Melee and 3DS. Pokemon, a few weeks ago I tried to get back into Pokemon. Why? Because I've spent I think around 700 hours, give or take an hour or two, or few. And Pokemon, why? Well, yeah, so many hours. Most of those hours were spent training teams that I don't even use online anymore because I don't play. I've been taking a break from Pokemon because it's good after playing a game for like 10 months non-stop almost every day whenever I had free time. Once again, due to school, you don't always have that. And so yeah, I tried to get back into it a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't happen because I've been playing other games, which I'm going to mention, like Metal Arms and like Midnight Club and some others. And I don't know, I'm too fucking stupid to play competitively online because it takes a lot of research. I tried my hand at developing my own techniques, my own combinations of teams, but you know what? I've just come to the conclusion that I'm not good at it. I'm not. I'll play against friends. I'll play against people online. But 7 times out of 10, I'll lose. It's extremely rare for me to win. It's not very likely because, like I said, I think I'm just fucking stupid at Pokemon. As much as I love it, I've been playing Pokemon all my life since the red, blue, and yellow days. Since the first generation. I would play yellow and red and blue. I owned yellow, and a cousin of mine owned red and blue. And we each had Game Boy Colors. I still have my Kiwi, my green, that's what the color's called. It's a green Game Boy Color. It's Kiwi colored Game Boy Color. And I've had that since I was around 5 or 6. Maybe since I was around 4. And I still have it. It still works like a champ. I don't use it often because I have a Game Boy Advance SP and a Game Boy Advance with the little light attachment with the lens. So if I want to play in the dark and I can't see on my Game Boy or my Game Boy Color when I want to play Pokemon, then I use my Game Boy Advance SP or my Game Boy Advance with the lens and the fucking with the little accessory that shines some light literally on the screen. And that's how I play if I play the classics. Or hell, I play. If you check out the Ultra Big Gaming channel on YouTube at youtube.com/ultrabiggaming, you know that there's a series I started a while ago, which I also haven't finished. Shame on me because I'm not that type of person. I don't like starting something and then not finishing it, but unfortunately it happens without me actually meaning to let it happen. But that's life. When you're a gamer and you collect, you're a collector like me, you have a shitload of games that you started all at once without meaning to, and you forget that you started this game and the other. That's what happens. But not only can I play the classic Pokemon games like Red, Blue, and Yellow, which I own. I have original cartridge copies, and I'm proud of that because I love original copies. I'm not a very big fan of emulators, so I have the first generation Pokemon games, and I also had 3 copies of the second generation games. You know, Silver, Gold, and Crystal. But Crystal, I let a friend borrow. Se lo presté a un amigo hace unos años when we were in high school together, and he claims that he went to visit his grandma deeper into this country, en este país, Mexico, and that he left his Game Boy Advance SP along with my copy of Pokemon Crystal and another little game you might have heard of called The Legend of Zelda: Oracle of Seasons for the Game Boy Color. He claims that he got on the bus and that he forgot his Game Boy Advance SP along with my 2 games, Crystal and Seasons. On that bus, he got off the bus and the bus kept on going. He left his Game Boy and my games there, and lost them. I don't know if it's true. Knowing him, he could have lied because he's a person that would lie to you about some things like that. You know, and if you listen to the show, you know who you are. I'm not going to mention you. Tú sabes quién eres. Pero no sé si sea verdad esa historia. I know that he thinks that in high school I was a bit more gullible than I am now. Because I pay close attention and detail to how people are. I've always tried to be that person, but I'm better at it now than I was years ago. So I don't know if he thinks that I bought his story. Part of me still thinks it's bullshit, but I can't prove him wrong. So I don't think I'll ever know the truth. Maybe I'll talk with him about it someday. And if it does happen to be bullshit and he confesses to that someday, whatever. In the end, they're games. I'm not gonna hang him for it. I'm not gonna get a mob together and end up murdering him over 2 games, because that's not what friends do. I don't talk to this guy very often anymore, but when I do, it's cool. We're cool because we spend our years of high school together. He helped me out a bunch, and I appreciate that. And goddamn, so go from one topic to another. One moment I'm talking about games, Pokemon, the classic games, and how I play them. The next thing you know, I'm talking about something that happened in regards to games. So it's still gaming related. But I don't know if that story is true or not, or if he kept the games for himself, which I doubt, or if he just sold them because he needed the cash, because he likes to collect too. But as much as he loves to collect, he's also a regular dude that needs the money. So he usually ends up selling whatever collection he's got for that money, so he can pay some bills, or so that he can buy himself other games that he feels like collecting at that particular point in time. So, you know who you are. Si escuchas este show, tú te puedes comunicar conmigo, ya sabes dónde vivo, ya sabes, te tengo agregado en Facebook, así que me podías contar la historia real, si es que esa fue una historia que te inventaste tú mismo, no sé. But that's the story with that. My mouth is getting dry, I talk a lot. Next bullet point here on my little notebook. Call of Duty, Black Ops, and Black Ops 2. Hey, actually, I mentioned Smash Bros. Melee and 3DS. I didn't talk about that, so whoa. Let me rewind that a bit. Recently, I played Super Smash Bros. Melee, and then I had a cousin came over who actually helped me run the... He's one of the originals that helped me run Ultra Big Gaming. But, like the rest, they left me. I had to kick them out because, they weren't interested in being part of the group anymore. And like I said, that was partly due because of me. But, I toned it down with my little bossy attitude. But anyway, the point is, he came over a few weeks ago. He brought his Wii U. And we played plenty of Smash for Nintendo Wii U. And that's a great game. Nintendo, Masahiro Sakurai, and everybody else who helped put that game together, put in some serious hours to make such a great game. And so when he came over, my props to Sakurai and all the people that put that game together. Not just to Sakurai either, because he gets all the credit. And he had all those articles, as recent as like a month ago, in which he would say that, oh, I'm getting too old for this. I'm getting too old for this. And, I shouldn't work as hard as I did developing this game. This is another point that I've talked to a few people around me about before. He's like, oh, I'm not as young as I used to be. I spent so many hours on this game. I'm burnt out, man. I sacrificed time with my family because I worked so hard on the game. And I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did because games as good as Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS don't just happen. They take a lot of man hours and effort from a lot of people and a lot of money, a lot of investment to make excellent top quality games like Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS and the other Super Smash Bros. Games of the past. So, I'm not trying to take away any credit from Masahiro Sakurai, but I feel that he gets too much credit because he is the director of the game. I'm sure he worked very, very hard like he says he did in the game, but so do a lot of other people. Thousands and thousands of studios out there, indie or big-time companies, like Sony and Microsoft, who have their own studios, who develop games for their own platforms, like Sakurai and Nintendo, like they do for the Wii U and 3DS and their past consoles. But as hard as I'm sure Sakurai worked, you don't hear, other people claiming in hundreds of articles across the internet that, I worked so hard. You don't hear them complaining that, I worked so hard on this game. People lavish me with praise, understand my pain and my exhaustion. So, I don't know. Sakurai has my sympathy. Not entirely, but he has some of it. Because I'm sure he worked his ass off as much as everybody else at Nintendo did to develop these two versions of this great game. But, he's got to chill with that. I'm sure there are other people all over the world and many studios that develop games for consoles, for PC, for mobile platforms. And you don't hear them, ranting on about how hard they work. You got to be a bit more humble. And in regards to that, Sakurai doesn't. He's not saying anything anymore, right? So he's professional like that. But I thought that was a bit over exaggerated. That's just me. You're welcome to agree with that or disagree with it. But like I said, I give all credit to the man. That was like my only small little issue with him. That's been my only issue with him since he created the concept of Smash Brothers. And they're both great games, all of them, from Super Smash Bros. On the 64 to the modern ones for 3DS and Wii U, all of them. So kudos to him and all the people who helped make these games possible over at Nintendo. So now moving on. Oh wait, actually, no. Still talking about Smash. We're at 43 minutes right now. Oh my god, I only meant to keep this at like 25 minutes tops. But here we are. And, I said moving on, but no, I still got a few more thoughts on the Super Smash Brothers. So, like I said, cousin of mine who was formerly an administrator, a page editor of Ultra Big Gaming, no longer a part, but he came over. He stayed here a few days with us, with me and my relatives. He brought over his Wii U. We played Smash, and it was loads of fucking fun. He's better at the new one than I am. But I bet in return I could kick his ass in Melee, which we didn't play when he came, during his stay here. I could kick his ass in Melee. He could kick my ass in the 3DS and, in the Wii U version. I'm not sure how good he is on the 3DS, but I'm assuming he hasn't lost much skill because playing on a 3DS and playing on a gamepad or a GameCube controller or the Wii U Pro controller feels pretty damn different than playing on a 3DS. Playing on a GameCube controller, like I just said. And that can take some of your skill away as you get used to it. And so I bet I could kick his ass in Melee. He kicked my ass plenty in the new one, but I won a couple of times too. He didn't completely destroy me. So I'm going to say that. So hey, you know who you are too. If you listen to this podcast, you know it's true. I'm not lying. I'm not making stuff up. That's the truth. So he came over. We played Wii U and Smash for a couple of days, and that reinvigorated, that revived my desire to play Smash again for 3DS because I don't own a Wii U. So the new one I play on the 3DS since I don't own a Wii U. Shame on me, but I'm poor and broke like that. And so yeah, we played, and then he left after a couple of days, and I've been playing plenty of Smash Brothers for 3DS lately. And that's great. I've been training. I feel that I'm better now than I was just a few months ago because I stopped playing the game for a couple of months. I got rusty as shit, but after playing with plenty of level 9 computers, I've got my mojo back. And I think I am better than I was, just a couple of months ago since the game's release. Anyway, that's it for Smash Brothers now for real. That's it for Super Smash Brothers. Moving on now to Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2, like I mentioned earlier. By the way, my PlayStation Network or PSN ID is JuanitoShet. If you listened to this podcast before, it's just JuanitoShet. That's JuanitoShet. Not shit like the actual word shit with an E. And it's all together. There's no spaces because you can't have spaces in PSN IDs that I remember at least. Made this account years ago. And my PSN ID once again is JuanitoShet together. You can add me on there, for the few people that will end up actually listening to this show. And some people that actually click on this video might not even finish it because it's already at 46 minutes, going on 47. But that's my PSN ID if you want to add me, if you want to play Black Ops 1 and 2, and you just want to play multiplayer, you want to play zombies, I love both modes. They're both great fun, especially if you have a headset. If you have a headset and you want to talk with me or whatever, that'd be great. That's loads of fun. We can talk a lot of shit. We can just be stupid together with other people online because in the end, for better or for worse, that's what Call of Duty provides. It's one of the many. It's the base of one of the many gaming series of one of the many gaming communities that's quite toxic. But if you're a modern person and you're very familiar with computers and the internet and playing online on consoles of today, you really gotta learn how to just ignore any of the shit that people might give you online and just have fun with them instead, which is what I do, in all honesty. I like to piss people off sometimes. And whoa, sorry, that came out of nowhere. Anyway, actually, you know what? I'm not sorry. I'm like that in real life. I fart and I burp with friends and with family members. So fuck that. I'm not sorry. I take that back. And so yeah, Black Ops 1 and 2. I like to fuck with people, make them angry. There are some times in which I like to just joke around with them, be lighthearted, maybe cuss a bit here like I've done in this episode of the show, and meet new people, have fun with them in the good sense, not make them angry like I just said that I sometimes do, and just hang out, play some multiplayer, demolition, some team deathmatch, some capture the flag on Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2. I also have World at War, but I don't play that game anymore because some of my relatives play the Black Ops games with me. Those are the most recent ones I have. I don't have Advanced Warfare or Ghosts or any of the Modern Warfare games. Oh, speaking of which, Black Ops 3 was just announced recently, and that's great because I genuinely love the Black Ops series. Compared to what I've seen from the Advanced Warfare series and the and Ghosts and the other Call of Duty games, I think that the Black Ops games look the best. And I'm not talking graphics. I couldn't give two shits about graphics, really. Although the games look great. That's for certain. And as technology progresses and we get new consoles and new games, they look better. And I quote, better because shiny new gadgets, shiny new technology doesn't always equate to better stuff. You can give something a better coat of paint, but if the gameplay isn't there, then the fun isn't there, and then what are graphics going to do for you, right? Graphics are a very important part of games, but they're not the vital part of games. They're certainly very important, because if a game looks good, whether that be realistically, trying to mimic the look of the real world as much as possible, as the Call of Duty games tend to do, in their graphical and artistic style, or you're playing a game like Wind Waker for the Wii U, the HD version, which looks cartoony and cel-shaded, but it looks gorgeous, or you're playing a game like Borderlands, which is also cel-shaded, or a modern indie game, which is actually a new game but looks retro, like say Box Boy from HAL Laboratories, the creators of and developers of Kirby games, and games like those. There isn't a set style, a set artistic style for graphics. So no matter what kind of graphics you enjoy, realistic, cel-shaded, cartoony, or any other style, graphics aren't the most important things in games. Like I said, I have my notebook here with my bullet points, and this isn't a topic I was going to talk about, but since this show is an improvised show, just the way I like it, because that's how I am. I like to improvise stuff. It just came out. But yeah, graphics, they're very important to games, because graphics can also help a person give them the desire, the motivation to finish a game, because if you enjoy the look of a game, then you enjoy the entire game in general. But if you have good graphics, like I said, but you don't have gameplay that's fun, in the end, that's what video games are all about. Fun, whether that be online or in the campaign mode, in the single player mode, whatever. You have good graphics, but you don't have good gameplay, then you don't have fun. And in the end, that can kill a game for you, for the player, for the gamer. And that's what matters the most, gameplay, fun. But music and graphics and anything else, the technical aspects of a video game, very important, because you can't have a great game without it being technologically sound, whether it be an older game or a modern game, or you should try to have a balance in video games. And I'm not a video game developer. I don't know anything about programming. I've never created my own original character or my own series. I don't have that kind of pull or that kind of money or the resources or anything. But as a person who's been playing video games all of their life, like I've said before earlier on the show, I know that that's what matters the most. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would agree with me. Anyway, moving on now. Once again, JuanitoShet on PlayStation Network. On PlayStation 3, not 4. You can add me. We can play Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and 2. And I don't have this written down on my notebook either, but I also have Uncharted 3. And I have Uncharted 2. And I'm willing to play those as well. And I also have Minecraft, which I don't tend to play with people often. But if you have any of these games, I also have Mortal Kombat 9 for the PlayStation 3. And I can hold my own in that game. I can't hold my own in the Uncharted games. I suck at those. I'm not a pro player in Call of Duty by any means, by any stretch of the imagination. I suck at those games. But I have fun regardless, like I said, talking smack and not taking people seriously, and just shooting, because shooting things is fun. But I suck at the Uncharted games. I'm bad at COD. I'm even worse in Uncharted, but I also enjoy those games regardless of my suckitude. And I'm better at Minecraft, because Minecraft doesn't require as much skill. It requires creativity. So if you have Black Ops 1 or 2, or both, and Uncharted 2 or 3, or Minecraft or Mortal Kombat, or hell, Mod Nation Racers, which I haven't played in a while. It came with my PS3 when I first got it as a present. If you have any of these games, add me as JuanitoShet on PlayStation Network, PlayStation 3. Now, moving on. Okay, the show's at almost 55 minutes now. I'm getting towards the end. The last topic I want to talk about is the original Nintendo DS. And I was actually talking about this with two of my classmates today. Today being Friday, so I was at the university, and we talked about quite a bit about the original Nintendo DS and how we've owned original models of the 3DS in the past, but we don't have them anymore for X or Y reasons. We all have our own situations that, oh, this happened to mine, it stopped working, it broke, or I lent it to a friend or a family member and they never gave it back. Stuff like that. But we don't have them anymore. But I, for one, like I told my classmates, I would love to have an original Nintendo DS again, especially one in good condition, and I would play it. My Nintendo DS games. The Nintendo DS Lite and the entire DS and 3DS lines are great, but I would love to have a original model of the Nintendo DS, and I've had one before, a blue one, but it only lasted 5 months because I got it used, and the stupid kid that was a previous owner didn't take good care of it. The screens were all scratched up. The exterior parts of the console were scratched up as well, and the battery was very worn out. Had lots and lots of hours of uses in the 2 or so years that the system had been out for at the time, because I had that back in 2006. So it only lasted for 5 months, and I was quite young at that time. And when the battery completely died, it wouldn't even charge anymore. I never stopped to think, hey, it could have been the battery. I could just go to GameStop, or because back in those days I was a fan of GameStop. I'm not anymore. There are no GameStops here in the city of Mexicali, Baja California, thankfully. Because even if there were, I wouldn't shop there. I prefer, like I said earlier in the show, supporting the locals. People who provide new and used games, mostly used though, because flea markets, the swap meet, or small independent shops, certain areas. They mostly provide used games, but more times than not, or hell, as often as not, they're in decent condition. Sometimes there are some people who will try to sell you shit that doesn't work, especially if they're CDs. You pick, if they're in their case or if they're just loose, you pick them up, look at the back, and they're scratched as fuck. I've even seen some cracked ones over the years. Some with missing bits if they're CDs. And I'm like, fuck that, you're trying to sell this to me? No lo voy a comprar. No lo voy a comprar. No te voy a dar mis pesos. I'm not buying that shit. You're not getting my pesos, okay? Or my dollars if I have dollars available. But yeah, I would love to have an original model of the DS, like I told my classmates, simply because it's ugly. We talked about, there are people out there who think the original Nintendo DS is ugly as fuck compared to the Nintendo DS Lite and the DSi models and the 3DS and the new 3DS. But that's precisely why I love it, because I owned one, and even if I hadn't owned one, I look at the images or photos of the original Nintendo DS, and I look at them like, it's so ugly. When you close it, it looks like an old cell phone. That's precisely why I love it. It's a great system that you can play the entire Nintendo DS library on, and lots of fun with it. I remember playing New Super Mario Brothers DS on that, playing Super Mario 64, which I'm about to get into actually, and yeah, I would love to get a original DS in decent condition. Doesn't have to be new or boxed, because I don't give a shit about that. I collect because I have fun doing it, and because I actually use the systems. I play them in intervals. Some months I'm playing Nintendo 64. Some months I'm playing Xbox. Some months I'm playing Game Boy games. Some weeks I'm playing. I'm always playing PS3 though, for sure, because being a modern console has the online capabilities, which I'm a big fan of. For the most part, I do have my own gripes with it, playing online. But I also watch some series on Netflix, like The Walking Dead, which I mentioned, and Better Call Saul. and I can do that on my PS3 on my glorious Sony Trinitron CRT television, which looks great, like I said earlier. And so yeah, I use it for Netflix. I watch YouTube on that. My sisters watch Crunchyroll on it. They watch anime or anime, as the fellow Americans would say anime. And so yeah, there's that. The PS3 I'm always using, but like I said, sometimes I'm playing PS3, sometimes I'm playing 64, sometimes Xbox, sometimes PS2, sometimes Game Boy, sometimes Sega Game Gear, sometimes Genesis games on my PS2, sometimes what other consoles do I have? Sometimes GameCube, sometimes Wii, and that's how it goes. Anyway, moving on, like I said, to Super Mario 64 is the last topic I'm going to get into, so I can end the show already, because goddamn, over an hour! What a comeback for Unlimited Bits! I didn't mean to... I had the intention of just letting this show run for like 25 minutes, because I actually want to try to keep the episode shorter, so that I don't bore you guys with my rambling. Hablo y hablo y hablo y no me para la boca, ¿verdad? Pero pues bueno, it's a podcast. Es como un show de radio. That's what it's about. De eso trata el show, el programa, pues. Y es gratis para ustedes y para mí, porque a mí no me pagan por hacer esto. They don't pay me to do this show. I do this because I like talking about video games and about some topics of life here and there, like the university life. And especially video games, so because that's what Ultra Big Gaming is about. That's what Unlimited Bits is about. That's the main focus. So, back to Super Mario 64 so we can wrap this show up. A few weeks ago, about a month ago, I restarted Super Mario 64 DS. And about a week after restarting Super Mario 64 DS, I restarted Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. And they're both excellent games. I love both versions. I grew up playing Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. And it's a fantastic game. It's as great as it's ever been. It's timeless. The music is great. I love the graphics, the art style, the design of the levels, the design of Peach's castle. I love everything. I could spend an entire Unlimited Bits episode, like next week if I wanted to, or any other episode, just talking about how great Super Mario 64 is, because it's one of my all-time favorite games. I think it's one of the greatest games ever created, regardless of what console you choose to play it on, and that would be the DS, 2DS, 3DS, or Nintendo 64. And I'm having lots of fun. I'm having a blast after not playing Super Mario 64 on the DS or 64 for a couple of years. I'm having fun remembering where to get all the stars, comparing and contrasting the similarities and the differences in analyzing them between the DS and 64 versions of this game. And it's just great. It's lots of fun. And if there are any kids younger than me, because I'm not that old really, I'm not gonna tell you guys how old I am. But for all the younger kids, the newer generations who say have a 3DS and it's their first ever console, it's the only handheld they've ever played. They never touched a Game Boy or a Game Gear or an Atari Jaguar or anything like that. They've never heard of it. And that's okay, because that's what happens with time. You know, newer generations get newer stuff. And I'm not old and bitter like some people who say, oh man, I grew up with the Game Boy where you had to use batteries, double and triple A batteries on your system, like with the Game Gear where you had to put 6 AA batteries on that piece of shit, and it wasn't even portable. You couldn't put that thing in your goddamn pocket, or the original Game Boy, because it's just so goddamn big. And that's a lie, actually. And I'm a small guy with small pants, small pockets on these small pants. And I can fit an original brick Game Boy in my pocket. It is a bit cumbersome having it in my pocket, though. Sometimes I take it out when I take it to the university or anywhere else. And I put it in a backpack. Or somebody else takes care of it for me while I'm doing something, wherever I'm at. And but that can happen. But in the case of, say, a Game Gear, in both systems, the Game Boy and the Game Gear, you had to use, and you can hear my dogs barking in the background, so I apologize for that. But I don't give a shit. This ain't a professional show. It's a one-man show in which I ramble on and on about life and games, like I've already said. And so yeah, for any of you youngins, you youngsters, niños, kids, who didn't grow up with the Game Boy or like that, I'm not gonna belittle you for not growing up with older consoles, because that's fucking stupid. That's just the way of life. With newer generations comes newer stuff, and insulting the younger generations for not growing up with what I grew up with is fucking stupid. So I'm not gonna do that. But if you've never played, back to the topic at hand, if you've never played Super Mario 64 and you're a younger kid than I am, and like I said, I'm not that old, so I'm not even much of an adult myself. If you're younger than I am, your first console is the 3DS or the DSi or the 2DS or even the new 3DS. These newer systems are compatible with Super Mario 64 DS. So if you don't have any interest in getting Super Mario 64 for the 64 and getting the actual 64 console itself, then you should hunt down a copy of Super Mario 64 DS, because it's an excellent game. Like I said, everything about it is great. If you try to finish the game really quickly, you can, because it's not a difficult game. If you played any Nintendo games, any Super Mario games, and you enjoyed them, I'm pretty damn sure you'll enjoy Super Mario 64 DS as well. So hunt a copy down. It shouldn't be so very expensive online if you don't have like I've already mentioned a couple of times. If you have no flea markets, no swap meets, no yard sales or independent shops near you, hunt down a copy online. I highly, highly, highly recommend it, and I'm sure that anybody else who's played this glorious, glorious game can recommend it as well. They would back me up on this. So if you're a newer kid, you have a DSi, a 3DS, a 2DS, a new 3DS, buy a copy of Super Mario 64. You'll love it. I'm sure you will. Because everything about this game is just great. It's a masterpiece. It's timeless. Plays as good today as it did 15, 17 years ago. Anyway, that's the end of the show now. I've already taken over an hour of your time. We're at an hour and 7 minutes almost, so time to wrap this thing up. And my last section here that I wrote in my notebook, it's called Plugs and Goodbyes, so I'm going to do some more plugging. I've already mentioned the Facebook page, Ultra Big Gaming, over at facebook.com/ultrabiggaming. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can just click on that motherfucker and go straight to it. Give it a like if you use Facebook, so that you can see all the gaming related stuff, that all the images, all the videos, all the news articles that I share on there, so you can keep up with the latest news, so you can simply look at images. Fuck, I can't even talk now. I've been talking for over an hour, so forgive me. You enjoy gaming, video games in general, no matter what console, what platform you play in, PC gaming, modern gaming, retro gaming, it doesn't even matter. Even if you play on an iPad or on a Samsung tablet, on your smartphone, on an emulator, it doesn't matter. If you enjoy gaming, please check out my page over at facebook.com/ultrabiggaming. And I also have an Instagram account, and a Tumblr account, and a Twitter account. But I'm just going to give you my name on Instagram, And if you follow me on Instagram over at JuanitoShet, just like my PSN ID, it's just at JuanitoShet. All together, no underscores, no dashes, no numbers, nothing. It's just at JuanitoShet together, all in lowercase in the classic Instagram style. One more time, at JuanitoShet. And just like with Ultra Big Gaming, it's mostly the photos that I take on my own nowadays, like all my games on my consoles, and I take some pretty damn good photos if I do say so myself. And it's mostly gaming stuff, photos, some short 15-second videos of a game or something. And so if you enjoy that, if you enjoy Ultra Big Gaming, you already follow that. If you just enjoy gaming in general, once again, regardless of what you play it on, your tablet, your smartphone, your console, your computer, check me out over at JuanitoShet on Instagram. If you have a Tumblr, you can also find me as JuanitoShet on Tumblr and on Twitter. Just at JuanitoShet on all of them. It's nice and simple, a sweet short name. If you love gaming, once again, or if you simply want to see more about me, although if you don't want to see that, that's okay. I don't lead a very interesting life. I'm just a guy that loves gaming. So I share and make a lot of original content related to gaming pretty often, especially on Instagram and Tumblr and Twitter, because everything, my Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram accounts are all connected. So anything, they're connected to my Instagram account. So anything that I share on Instagram, if you don't have Instagram but you want to follow me on Tumblr or on Twitter, because you use Tumblr or Twitter, you prefer those, and you don't like Instagram, all the images that I share on Instagram, they're also shared automatically because they're linked with my Instagram account on Tumblr and on Twitter. So if you don't like Instagram, you don't give a shit about it, you don't want to use it, you don't want to make an account just to follow your good old buddy JuanitoShet, then you can just follow me on Tumblr, because I share the same exact stuff on there, and on Twitter as well. So at JuanitoShet, follow me, and if you follow me and it was because you listened to the show, then let me know, and I'll follow you back as well. Tell me, hey, follow me, and I'll get the notification that you followed me. Drop a comment in one of my images on Instagram or Tumblr and Twitter, and tell me, hey, JuanitoShet, I heard your show, Unlimited Bits, and your newest episode, or whichever episode, doesn't matter, and I followed you on Instagram, so hey, follow me back in return, or on Tumblr, or on Twitter, I don't give a shit. Instagram is what I use the most, though. So I'll do that. I'll follow you back in return, especially if you love gaming like I do. There's never enough gaming-related stuff on any website or application. So there's that. The plans for the podcast, last but not least, I plan on releasing, and I've said this before, I know, but this time I'm going to do my best to not be tired and to actually not be busy, so that I can deliver one kick-ass episode of Unlimited Bits per week. The plan is to, release a weekly episode. This thing is going to go back to being a weekly thing, a weekly series. I'm going to have some of the people that helped run the Ultra Big Gaming page with me, who have also been on this show in previous episodes of Unlimited Bits months ago. I'm going to have them on again. I'm going to invite them so we can talk games. Because that's, in the end, that's what this show is about. Mostly, for the most part. And it's going to be a weekly series. I am going to have people on. I plan to invite our real life friends of mine. And we'll see what other people we can get on the show. For the most part, though, it's going to be mostly me rambling en English y en español, porque soy mexicano, así que va a haber algo de español aquí y por acá, de vez en cuando, en cada capítulo. That's it for this episode. I've already taken more than an hour and 12 minutes of your time. I appreciate the fact that if you're still listening to this, that you finished this goddamn episode. And once again, check me out on Facebook and on Instagram and the other websites. And I'll see you here next week. So in the meantime and in between time, take care. This was JuanitoShet. I hope you enjoyed my retarded rambling. And I'll catch your ass down the road and next week. Thank you for tuning in.